My name is Barry.
Hey, Barry. My name's Colby.
Now that's what you call a proper introduction. I was trying to find a way. I was like, there has to be a way for me to fit this in here. What's going on, guys? My name is Barry.
Oh, this is Colby.
And this is Who Watches This. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the second week of Lost in Translation Month.
Yeah.
And man, whew, I was like, when you texted me what the movie was gonna be for this week, I was like, oh wow, that's spot on. Now, before we talk about what this movie is, did you watch this movie in theaters?
I did not watch it in theaters. I watched it kind of soon after, but it was like some streaming or something. But wow, rewatching it, I was like, I don't remember a whole lot of of what happened in the first time I watched this.
Man, I remember seeing it. I was like, I saw it in theaters,
Okay.
and what an experience. Because for me, me and you, as longtime fans of people that have been listening to us, know that we're like hardcore like sci-fi fans.
Yeah.
And it feels funny because I feel like recently, maybe in like the last decade, like sci-fi has kind of morphed into like sci-fi Michael Bay.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like explosions, fights and all this nonsense. But
Right.
then
Right.
but then we kind of grew up on movies like a Space Odyssey and stuff
Yes,
like that.
very different theme than
Very yeah.
Independence Day.
Yeah. That was the start, That was like the start of the sci-fi blockbuster movie. And so I remember coming into this movie, and I think I had brought a friend that wasn't really into like sci-fis like this, and he was
Okay.
like, "Where are the explosions?" I was like, yeah, wrong person to
Yeah.
watch a movie with, or at least wrong person to watch this specific movie with. Right? Was there anything that like that brought you, or like that compelled you to watch this movie?
Most of it was sci-fi.
Yeah, you're
That
like,
was
oh yeah,
like that was really usually as I'm kind of going through. If I'm like, it's sci-fi, and well, when it's me, it's sci-fi of any budget. Yes, I'm in. Like if I'm watching with Russo, it's sci-fi with big budget. Yes, she's totally into. So
sci-fi with small budget. You could watch that while I'm sleeping.
right, right.
All right, well, let's get into our first segment so we can finally introduce this movie to everybody. It's the Rhymefest trailer. This one was a doozy. I'm gonna tell you that. What is in a word? What weight does it hold? How we see our world and the truths that are being told. That's Luis's job to figure out what these heptapods want, because humanity thinks they're about to get got. So do we wait or strike first for survival? Let's find out in 2016's Arrival.
Ooh, you pulled that off well. Yeah.
I had to put my thinking cap on for this one. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about the sci-fi movie Arrival, starring Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, and Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, Amy Adams, it's weird. I really like her,
Yeah.
but like I don't know her name. I'm like, oh, I like her, but I don't know anything else she's in. I always have to look it up.
And you're
It's
like, oh,
weird.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm like, and once I start looking, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I've seen a bunch of these movies, but like, for some reason, just doesn't ever really like click. Yeah.
You know why? It's because I always used to get her confused with Isla Fisher. who is in like what's it called? Now You See Me, the trilogy.
Oh,
She's like
okay.
the other redhead actress. They
Yes.
kind of look similar. They don't look alike. They just look. I always like kind of confuse them in my head. You know, like Confessions of a Shopaholic
Right.
type of movie. So yeah, it's really. I think it's kind of understandable because it's. I don't want to say it's very rare that she's like the main liner, but like the big movies that you see her in, she's like a supporting cast. Like
Okay.
she was
Yeah.
in the Superman movies,
Right.
supporting
Right. Yeah.
cast.
See, Superman. Well, like, how do I not remember her being Lois Lane?
Yeah, and it's I remember the first time I saw her was in The Office. She was like selling
Okay.
purses and stuff. It's like season 2. But no, she's like getting a little bit more busier now. She had the recent one, Night Bitch.
Yeah. Actually, I saw that, and that was another one where I was like watching. I was like, I really like her, but who is this? I know her, but I don't know her,
I know.
and I had to look it up too. And
Yeah.
it was
I mean, she's like in Talladega Nights, Catch Me If You Can, Enchanted, which is probably going to be like one of her bigger roles
oh,
from
okay,
like
right,
the
right.
2000s and stuff like that. Because they just came out with a sequel, Disenchanted.
Mm,
Yeah, I think she's in a little bit. I feel like she's in a little bit more nicher things. Uh, than to say like and then all the bigger movies, she's kind of just like a supporting cast. So, yeah, and then obviously Jeremy Renner was in here from. Oh gosh, he was in a Born Identity movie. Obviously he was Hawkeye.
oh,
You
right.
know, which I feel like it's his like
Tag.
biggest role. Oh, Tag. He was pretty much playing Hawkeye when he was like off. they they gave Jeremy Renner like Hawkeye abilities in the Tag movie.
Yeah, yeah.
What an asshole! He was such an asshole in that movie. But I was like, I could see myself being him though.
I feel like I just saw something else with him in that was really good.
I mean, I know he was just recovering from his accident,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was a doozy of an accident too. And then he had like those mayors of Kingstown. He had the Hurt Locker.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, pretty big guy too. And obviously Forrest Whitaker, a man of no introduction needed. Oh man.
I always go like to Good Morning Vietnam. Like that's kind of like I feel like my introduction to Forrest Whitaker as
Oh.
a main character in a movie. I don't know.
Oh man.
I know he's been
He's
around.
been busy. He's always busy. But like yeah, no, and then like obviously he has like his Last King of Scotland. He was the host of like the Twilight Zone in the early 2000s. That was like my main like introduction to him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But no, yeah, and so let's get started with this movie. This movie is really hard to kind of talk about in chronological order just because of like the actual plot
Which it makes sense for the
for what happens in the movie, right?
yes.
But we open up with a inner monologue of Amy Adams' character, Louise, not Charlotte. Louise, she's with her daughter, and it's oh god, it's a very kind of long-winded thing, but it's super philosophical, and that's why I don't remember it. But we get shots of like her daughter like kind of going through her stages of her life, very young into like her like little toddler like childlike years until she eventually dies from cancer or dies from an incurable disease.
Yes, yeah.
And so yeah, so then we really get an introduction with her as like what her profession is when she goes to like her college.
Right. And she's a linguist.
Yeah, linguistics professor.
Yeah.
And at first she's like, this classroom is bare. So you feel like, oh, is there something going on? Because there's only like 6 students in here. And I was like, oh,
Right, right. This is like the first class after COVID hits.
right. Like the only reason this class is still around is because she has tenure. But no, like she opens up, like let's talk about the origins of Portuguese. or what I like to say, Portuguese.
Yeah. And very the few people in the class very distracted.
Yeah, and so like you kind of have a sense of like, oh, is there something going on? Until like one of the students is like, oh, Miss, I believe her last name is Miss Professor Banks. Can you turn on the TV?
Yeah, can you get the news in here?
Yeah, and like they show the TV and aliens,
Yep.
but Pringle like spaceships are all over.
Right? Super interesting, like very different shape and
it was super cool design.
yeah.
And it's like all over the world, and so like everyone's in a panic. There's like this huge alarm that goes off in the college campus. Everyone's like, go home, where Mars is about to attack.
Right, because we don't know.
Yeah. And so as Amy Adams is trying to she's trying to leave campus, she gets not confronted, but she gets approached by Forrest Whitaker. And he's like,
Yeah.
hey, you worked with us during like this Syria situation, and
Right. So you still have high level military clearance because of that.
And so he plays like a audio recording of a first contact, and she's like, I can't tell you anything from this. And Forrest Whitaker's like, oh, come on, you deciphered the Syria codes. And he's like, yeah, I already knew Syrian. Yeah. Like, that was just like a different kind of puzzle. This is somewhere in the different dimension of what you're asking me to do. And so if you want me to do this, I have to be there.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, I can't do that. So
he's right. Every news crew wants that access. I can't just be handing it out.
I can't potentially save the world kind of situation. Yeah, and so so she go, oh, but she's like, oh, you're gonna go to somebody else? Okay, ask him what the word for warfare is in like a different language.
Oh, in Sanskrit.
In Sanskrit, which I was like, I'm not smart enough to understand that question. And so she comes home. She has a couple more flashbacks of her child and everything that's happened. But then all of a sudden, like 2 a.m, she lives like in a beautiful home, like by a lake.
Right. Yeah, it's nice.
I'm always like kind of like I want that kind of lifestyle, but I'm also like, I have to have a gun in every room just in case there's intruders. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so exposed, yeah, and he comes, and she's like, oh, I guess he couldn't tell you what it was in Sanskrit, could he? He's like, he totally got it wrong. So he's like, come on, let's go. She's like, give me 20 minutes. We're leaving in 10.
He did say something, though. It was like
It's like farmhouse or something like that.
Yeah, like, I want your house. And then she's like, well, it really means I want more cows, or something like that.
Yeah, like it was like a trick question, right? And she's like, give me 20 minutes. He's like, we're leaving in 10. And I was like, are you though? This is the only person that you're gonna wait 20 minutes.
Right.
And so they get into the helicopter.
And she's in pajamas. So like, no girl gets ready in 20 minutes.
Come on.
Or in 10 minutes.
Exactly.
So I apologize to the fast-dressing girls that are listening to us right now.
And so the potato chip ship is in Montana, which is funny enough because it's like filmed in Quebec. Because I was like, no way Montana's that beautiful.
And they get very little background on because I guess nobody knows, but it's now there's 12 ships that have landed.
Yeah, in specific spots of the world.
Right, but specific, but they can't figure out why. They're like, these 12 spots are the 12 spots that get the least amount of annual lightning per year. Yeah. But also these 12 spots are all near cities where Sheena Easton performed released a top hit.
Yeah.
It was like, so like
really odd spots.
We have no real reason, or we have no real concept of why these are the 12 spots that got picked.
But it's all over the world. Like it's in like parts of China, parts of Russia, one in Pakistan,
one in Japan.
Yeah, very scattered throughout the world, right?
Yeah.
And so everyone's kind of like in a panic. So like as they go to like onto the helicopter to hit up Montana, she gets introduced to Jeremy Renner, who is a like a theoretical physicist.
Yes.
So real Big Bang Theory type of stuff. And he's like, hey, like listen, this is sort of his field, and so you guys are gonna work together,
Right.
And so like they get to the place, and they're kind of getting ready to make first contact, and Amy Adams is like, oh, what do these aliens look like? Because no one said aliens this whole time, and this is like, it's fucking aliens, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, you're gonna see soon enough, because obviously these two people are like leaders in their field, and they're like, oh, they're super hyped about like one's like trying to make a linguistic connection, and the other one is like, these are fucking aliens. Space.
Right. No, yeah. Because she's like, I want to be able to talk to them, and he's almost jumping to the next step because he's like, I want them to tell us how, did they travel light speed? Is there, some kind of time vortex that they manipulate to fly so fast?
Exactly.
What is their ship made out of? Yeah.
So, totally two different leaders of their field, but they get there and, they suit up and they're like, is there like radiation? He's like, no, but you never know, right?
Right.
But they bring a canary, which is like funny, is like a canary has been used ever since like humans have been mining things. Right.
It was always kind of if you bring a canary, canaries are very susceptible to changes in
like atmosphere or whatever.
Yeah. So if you bring a canary into the old saying, canary in the coal mine, you bring it down there. If air starts to get thin, the canary will die before a human will notice the effects. If there's carbon monoxide in the air, canary will pass out way quicker than a human will. And so like you can kind of watch it. Your poor little bird, has issues, to get
out of there. And so they gear up with the whole team, and they have the canary there, and Luis is there with like Forrest Whitaker and like a bunch of military personnel, and they're trying to establish like verbal contact.
And it's also like there is a very small period of time every 18 hours a door opens and allows them in.
Oh yeah.
But it is a finite amount of time that they have before they have to leave.
Yeah. And so when they first get into the ship too, it's really cool because they're coming like vertical up on the ship, but then after a certain point, the ship has its own gravity.
Yeah.
Which was like really cool and all that stuff. So yeah, they first try to establish verbal contact, and then this is the first time we get to see these heptapods.
Yeah.
And it just looks like a really big hand.
Right. Some kind of weird octopus in very murky water.
Right. Well, I mean, it doesn't look like water. I was like, oh, it looks like clouds, right? Or mist.
Well, yeah. To me, it looked like very cloudy water.
It just reminded me of Stephen King's Mist.
Yeah.
But no, they can't really establish verbal contact. They don't say anything back. So they get out of the, they run out of time. And they're like, do you guys, and then this is where Amy Adams starts like, she goes into like a little bit of overdrive. She's like, I need like a whiteboard and a marker, and maybe we can establish contact that way.
Yeah.
And, and during this time, like there's a lot of flashbacks with like Amy Adams and her child. And I was like, oh, maybe, they're trying to establish like what's driving her to do what she does. Right.
Right. There's enough that it's to me, it was like confusing. It was like, yeah, so she had a kid and her kid passed away from cancer. So maybe like she's trying to she's got like this hero complex. Maybe she could save us because she couldn't save her kid, or, there's enough flashbacks that it's like, This
What is
is kind
going
of
on?
almost, this is taking me out of my sci-fi element here.
Yeah, you're like, what's going on, right? But no, yeah. So they establish contact once again, and this time she starts to write on the whiteboard, and this is the first time the heptapod has reciprocated like communications, because it for the time being they make noises, but it sounds like almost like whale noises.
Right, exactly. And if it's the first time you ever met a whale and it made whale noises, you're going to have zero idea what
Yeah,
those noises mean.
yeah. But this is the first time like it kind of like lifts one of its like tentacles and it sprays like an ink,
Yeah,
and it's like a circular pattern, and they're like, holy shit, you know. And during this time too, like all of the world is kind of they're what's it called, they're communicating with each other, they're trying to figure out what's going on, what's going to happen.
right, right.
And so yeah, no, and so like yeah, no, they realize like okay, they can communicate this way. And so Amy Adams Luis's plan is to sort of establish like words.
Right.
And Forrest Whitaker is like, eat, walk, run, play. What are you doing? You know? And so
We said, right. We need to know, are they
why?
here to kill us? And you're teaching them like they're a 3 or you're a 2-year old, like learning to write.
Yeah. And so like, Luis goes to the whiteboard where Jeremy Renner has all these calculations. Like, ah, oh, come on. She's like, you want to establish this question. Why? What is your purpose on Earth? For me to be able to do that, I need to establish a vocabulary
Right.
that like like that I could at least hypothesize like this is you're just like kind of repeating what I'm saying, so we can build up a way of communicating.
Right.
And so
Right.
a short little montage of like them kind of doing that, like Ian walks, and it's funny because like her and Jeremy Renner's character Ian, they're like, all right, we'll call that one Abbott and that one is Costello.
Which I feel like is an interesting play on the miscommunication, because Abbott and Costello, like their comedy was always, one was smart and one was goofy,
Yeah.
and there was always a miscommunication between the two of them, and so I felt like that was an interesting choice of names.
That one's for the old folks. Because I always knew the name, but I never like watched it.
Mm.
Yeah, and so
Yeah, they were a comedy duo that always did not. It was that was always like one was very smart and one was goofball,
yeah,
and they never understood what each other was talking about.
yeah, and so like during this time of trying to figure out like to build a vocabulary, Forrest Whitaker is like trying to. I thought Forrest Whitaker was going to be sort of like a dick, but he wasn't. He was a pretty level-headed like commander, right?
Right, but he was also having to bring the results of what they were doing
yeah. Yeah,
each day
he still
to
had to,
his
yeah.
to his uppers, and if it's like, hey, if there's no progress, that's not going to look good on you or me.
Yeah. Also, like during this whole time too, there's like a lot of protests from people because that's you're gonna fuck people. Like I forgot what movie it was. I think it was Dogma, where like Chris Rock was like, a person can be smart, but a group of like them can go dumb real fast.
Right.
And so like yeah,
so you get a lot of kind of, you get more information of what they're doing and what is happening around the world by like the little background newscasts that are going on, where they're like, oh, hey, in this country, they're looting and rioting because they think the world's going to end. In this country, it seems like there's a whole lot more people who are religious zealots, thinking that this is like some kind of
end of
angel.
times.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but like there's also like this like small subplot of like, what's China gonna do? Because if China moves, then like a couple other nations are gonna follow suit.
Right. Yeah. Some of the Pakistan and some of the other countries see China as the dominant power on that side of the world, and so they're like, well, whatever China does, we'll follow.
Yeah, and so like that's another crunch of time that they're kind of against, right? And then like all of a sudden at a certain point, like, you know, but also like some of the military personnel are listening to these podcasts that are very much like, we got to get them before they get us.
Right.
We got to tell them that this is our Earth. And I was like, hold on, nobody in this world is Will Smith. You know what I mean? Like, let's figure out what they're here for first, you know? And so, uh, what's it called? Luis finally kind of has established a small word bank.
Mm-hmm.
And so she finally asks, like, what are you here for? And then, you know, they established like this like whole computer system to kind of translate.
Right.
And so, yeah, the heptapod, you know, squirts out a little bit of ink and it says, give weapon.
Yeah.
And so now everybody's in a panic. They're like, what weapon are they talking about? But then Luis tries to like kind of diffuse the situation. Like, they might not understand the full grasp of a weapon because they might be thinking tool, give tool. But you know, there's like there's one military personnel that's very much of a stereotypical, like, we gotta get them first
Yeah. Yeah.
type of guy. But then they're able to sort of kind of hold off. Like, he's like, we can't let anyone know what it said, right?
Right. And she uses kind of like an interesting story where she's like, hey, when they first went to Australia and they met the Aborigines
Yeah,
and they had never seen a kangaroo before, they were like, what is that? And the Aborigines were, that's a kangaroo.
yeah.
And so then we named it kangaroo. And it turns out later on they found out what the kangaroo actually meant. I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's funny because like during like it's hard to really fit all these little intricacies in here, but um what's it called? One of them kind of poses like a theory that's like a real hypothesis that like the language that you speak dictates how you view reality.
Right. Yeah. What, like once you start
Yeah.
assimilating your brain into understanding another language com- complexity, it
Yeah.
actually changes your view on the world.
Yeah, exactly. Or like
And
just
that,
your perception
yeah.
on
And then
everything.
they mention that like once you start thinking in that other language or you start dreaming in that other language, that's when your brain starts
To like rewire itself.
rewire. Yeah.
Yeah, because like Jeremy Renner asked, because then like during the movie, Amy Adams starts to kind of like be a little bit lucid during in moments, and then so Jeremy Renner poses like, "Are what language are you dreaming in?" You know,
Yeah.
so that was a pretty crazy thing. But yeah, no, and then like yeah, so like yeah, they have that whole Aborigines talk where like Forrest Whitaker is like, yeah, but then an advanced an advanced not race, but like an advanced civilization came and wiped them out type of deal.
Right. Yeah.
But all of a sudden, when they get when they get the message, give weapon, that's when sort of like everybody around the world starts to go dark. First it was China, and then like the U.S. military is like, no, we're gonna go dark too. And so like
Right. Right.
now the whole world is in kind of like disarray because now we're not communicating with each other, and the head military honcho dude is like, oh, you know, what's it called? We don't have one unifying leader, and it's harder to take down like all these factions. You might as well just take them all out.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that's what these aliens are looking for us to fight to have one dominant leader, and then they can communicate with that one leader.
Right. So it's rough, right? And like it's funny too because we learned that China had been communicating with the heptapods playing mahjong because they
Yeah.
had intercepted some sort of feed and all that stuff. And Luis is like, oh, she's able to decipher. Like they're talking about mahjong pieces, and so like now it's like mahjong is a very aggressive game.
Yeah.
And if all you're teaching is like the hammer, then everything else is a nail.
Right. Right.
So
Because mahjong is win or lose. Even though you can use it as a communication device, it ends up as winning or losing.
yeah, it's a very aggressive way to communicate.
Yeah.
And so yeah, no, and then so they want to communicate more to kind of clarify what is this, what did you mean by give weapon, right? And so they try to go to the site because they still have some time. But before Jeremy Renner, before Eloise and Ian are able to get there, the military guys that have been sort of, on this like destroy the aliens before they destroy us situation,
Right.
planted a bomb, right? And what's it called? And so Luis and Ian go there, and they're like, "Hey, there's like we have a very short amount of time to do this because things are kind of getting crazy." And so, like, can you, do something? And then so, like, one of the heptapods just sprays a whole bunch of ink, and it's all of like the all a lot of different symbols.
Right.
Um, but before they can kind of like ruminate on all of that, one of the heptapods, puts his like tentacle into the thing, shuts down the gravity, and sort of throws them out.
Right. Yeah.
And then the explosion goes off. And so now they're like, holy shit, because like during this whole time, a little bit of what's been happening has been leaking into the outside world. And we could
Right.
only assume that it's like the people that were very much against this whole situation that was in the room with Luis and Ian have been sort of leaking that out, right?
Right. Right.
So now they're kind of in terrified mode because now we are the first one to show aggression to this being, right? And
Yeah. And so now does the whole world prepare for retaliation? Will there be a retaliation? Yeah.
yeah, and it's funny. It's cool to. I forgot to mention this. I wanted to mention this that Jeremy Renner, his character had been talking about just like the spaceship that they came on, because it doesn't emit any sort of like hazardous like waste. It doesn't disturb the environment.
Right.
It's like the perfect vessel. He doesn't know what it's made out of. I'm pretty sure he wanted to shave a little bit of the building just to see. You know what I mean? And so now, like, yeah, now they're sort of in evacuation mode because now the potato chip has gone like a mile off the ground.
Right. Right.
And so, yeah, they're like, oh, they're trying, China's like giving the potato chip an ultimatum, like get out of China in 24 hours or else we'll attack.
Right. Yep. Out of the atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
or else we're gonna blow you up.
Yeah, which I was like, I don't think that's a smart idea. Like, what's the worst we could even do to them? They're like if we send nukes on them, it's gonna be like a dent. It's gonna be
Right.
a
And
fender
then
bender
it's
to
and
them.
it's just downpour of radiation on your own people.
So stupid. But no, and so like Luis is like, no, no, like, no, I can fix this. I just need a little bit more time. And so as they're kind of trying to like figure out should they evacuate, should they not, Luis goes out into the field and the Pringles send a Pringle can.
It's what it looks like. Yep.
And Eloise steps into it and it encloses her into this and it sends her into the ship and when it exits her out, she's in the like space that the heptapods are in.
Right. She's in the misty side, not in the behind glass side.
And I was like, I'm gonna tell you right now, shit, my pants soiled. My pants will be so absolutely soiled, right? Because this is the first time we get a full view of what these heptapods look like. Not just
Right.
the little tentacle portions, but the upper portions too, which would have freaked me out. I think I would have threw up. But now
It's really it's a little Cthulhu-ish.
very eldritch looking type of being, and it's like this space that they're in. It almost, yeah, like you said, it almost acts like water because like Luis's hair is like flowing in there. It's like it has like almost like zero gravity, but it has gravity because she's on the floor.
Right. Yeah.
So strange. But Luis knows a decent amount of like this actual language without the little computer thing because Luis is talking to it in English and it's like responding to her. And it says
Right.
like first it says Abbott is in death process. So she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, what
Yeah.
else are you supposed to say, right? But this is like the huge revelation of like the movie is like, why do I keep dreaming of a child I don't know?
Right. Yeah. And that's the first time we as an audience realize that this isn't that the whole daughter dying at the beginning wasn't before the aliens got here.
Yeah, it's like she's like, this is something in the future,
Yeah.
you know, and this is kind of where you realize, and this is where like the little tidbit of the theory comes in, is that like now she's like learning this alien language, and like they're telling the heptapods are telling her, we have given you the weapon, you know the weapon. It's now it's your job to sort of teach that.
Right.
You
Right.
know, it gave me a little bit of Edge of Tomorrow vibes. And the alien, the heptapod says like, in 3,000 years, we're gonna need your help. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and
So
it's
we're giving you this now so that you can help us in the future.
so super. It kind of reminded me of like you know, in our own history, we've given weapons to like certain places,
Right.
and we took them back. You know, obviously that's what a lot of wars were about. But yeah, like these aliens are giving us like the tool to help them out in the future to be up to par of, you know, because then like now, like, you know, after that, you know, she's like, we have to go, like we've relayed this message to you,
Yeah.
you know, enough to understand and to sort of compile a possible like book or something. And they don't say that, but like, you know, that's pretty much, we given you enough tools to spread the language.
Yeah. We've given you our whole language, and now it's your job to
To get them
interpret
ready.
that and spread it.
Yeah, to get the world ready. Because, you know, 3,000 years, you're going to be a part of this galactic warfare. You know, I was like, you're going to be our grunt soldiers.
Right.
Yeah, and so like they get sent back, or Amy Adams gets sent back into the world, and they're like, all right, we're evacuating and all that stuff because China's about to fucking blow this potato chip out of the sky.
Yeah.
Until like Luis is like, wait, hold on, and she starts to get like a little future flashes of like when she met the Chinese general,
Right. Yeah.
and like so she steals like the douchebag military guy's like satellite phone, and, and calls the Chinese general on his private number, and
Right.
she speaks Mandarin to him, tells in it like in during this time it's like little flashes of the future and the present, future present, where she's talking to the general, and he's like, I don't know how your brain works, and I don't know how you were able to first one call me on my private number,
Right. Yeah. I never met you, and you've called me on my private number.
and then you also told me my wife's dying words.
Yeah.
And so like you've done something no superior has ever been able to do, and this changed my mind, and have brought this new thing into the world, because like that's what really stops like any sort of act of aggression. And when that happens, all the potato chips disintegrate. Like they're like, now they're the bottom of the Pringles can.
It turned into a cloud of salt.
I was like, is that faster than light travel? Is that FTL? Holy crap. Yeah, and the world is sort of like now unified in
Right.
this whole experience, and this new revelation of this new alien language that now Luis is teaching. She's like released a book, you know, and you know, we learned, you know, her daughter's name is Hannah, and it was what is it called, like
A
a
palindrome.
palindrome. I was like anagram. I was like, that's not right. Yeah, of like, you know, same frontwards and backwards and frontwards. And then we've gotten short, like little. We should, you know, watching this a second time, you realize like, oh, you know, they're talking about the future, because like earlier in the movie, she's like, yeah, it's a picture of mom and dad talk to animals, and like the picture has like them two with the canary cage, and she's like making little play-dohs of like the heptapods.
Right.
You're like, oh my gosh. And then you find out that Jeremy Renner is the person that she has a baby with. And
Yeah.
you realize that like they're not together anymore because she had told Jeremy Renner, like, our child is going to die of an incurable disease. And that's,
And then opted to have the child anyway. And he was like, I can't be
yeah,
with you if
you've kept
that's
that
gonna
from
be.
me.
Yeah.
Because, like, like during the whole, like, the end of the movie, they're having this relationship, and she's like, and he's like, do you want to have a child? Let's make a child together. And obviously, if you knew, I would be so upset too. But then it's like she opted to still have it because she still wanted, you know
Right.
it's just like it is what life is. The weight of the truth is still didn't want me to dissuaded me to not have this.
Yeah.
you know but yeah, no, the movie ends right there. It has like this whole like montage of like her coming out with her book. The world has sort of unified a little bit together, like during the whole scene with like the Chinese general. Like there's like a little, they have all the flags, but then they have like one with the symbols of the heptapods in there.
Yeah.
And obviously now with that ability, and people like future generations are going to be able to learn that language. Or you could only surmise that the human civilization, it would, what's it called, advance at a faster rate to be able to help in this
Yeah.
galactic.
Yeah. And basically what the language is that the heptapods learn the language in a circular motion so that like there is no beginning and no end.
It's a palindrome.
And so that, yeah, so at any time you can look at what they used to, like a beam of light
Yeah.
has a, well, I guess it has a beginning and an end, but at any point you can look at any portion of that beam of light and
Hmm.
see it, and that there's not really a time because light is so fast that
Hmm.
it's just there. And so you could look at any point of it and see what's happening, and see there's not, so you can look at any point of your own life.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, it totally would rewire future generations' way of perceiving reality.
Right.
So
Because,
yeah.
yeah, because you could see the future, your own future, you could see your own past, and you
It's
could
crazy.
interact with any portion of your life.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, let's get into our other section: high star, low star.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, so the best of the smart sci-fi forks. Uh, to this reviewer, there are two kinds of sci-fi. There's the common type that dates back to Buck Rogers and has more modern iterations in Star Trek, Star Wars, action, mayhem. The other type is the smart or intellectual type. It's harder to classify. It's been around forever, but appears and disappears randomly. Consider The Day the Earth Stood Still, or The Cube, or more recently, Martian. The second type is an oddity because most of the heavy lifting takes place in the viewer's brain, not on the screen. I consider Arrival the best example of the smart genre that's ever been done. Uh, these these films, because they are so subjective, require a central character that the viewer can identify with. Mrs. Adams deserves special merit for picking this film up and carrying it to the finish line. A must see for fans of smart sci-fi.
Hmm. Oh, that's it.
Um, and then please check out my list of 167 nearly perfect movies. Um, little self promotion there at the end.
We have 1 out of 10. A waste of time, money, and talent. How did they get this greenlit? Why did anyone want to make this film? I kept waiting for something to happen, but nothing did. There was a subplot of sorts with a whispered narrative. Big chicken feet came out of the mist and squirt ink blocks on the glass wall. What? That's the alien encounter? I resented waiting in line to see this idiotic piece of crap for free. You got it for free, dude. on,
Right.
on my worst movie list ever, I was hoping for some great CGI, but that was not evident either. Lots of green screen and flipping back and forth between time. Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner performances are faultless. It's the plot that leaves you wondering what is this about, ultimately boring and anticlimactic. So that guy definitely wanted a Michael Bay Transformers movie.
Yes. Yeah.
But honestly, like, this is as I don't want to say fantastical because it's so arrogant to say that there's not aliens out there.
Right.
But this feels like a much more what could possibly be a grounded first encounter.
It's interesting. Like this works so well with this week's or this month's category because every sci-fi movie, you meet the aliens and you start talking to them, and whether they to speak English back or not, somehow everybody understands each other. Like the Star Trek, every alien that came on the ship, spoke English. They did have one episode that they kind of played around with that, where they were like, oh, hey, we met a new alien, and everybody's got like a little chip implanted in their ear that translates, and this new alien that they've never met before comes onto the ship, and as it talks, you can't understand him. And then as the episode goes on, eventually you could start, it's like they start adding a little bit of English to everything these aliens are saying, and at the end of the episode you can understand everything because the computer is like trying hard to translate it and eventually does. But yeah, I mean, like this is so realistic on the how would we actually communicate with an alien that doesn't speak, that doesn't look at the world the same way we do, doesn't
and like it's funny too because I looked it up and I was like, oh, they had a bunch of like people that are like linguists and all that stuff kind of work on this film and sort of like do very realistic depictions on like how would we build a vocabulary to be able to understand each other.
Right. Yeah.
But it's funny because it's like the aliens totally understood us. Like,
at least eventually they did. I don't know if it was right away, but I think they learned us way quicker than we learned them.
Oh yeah, they're like, oh yeah, this little backwater language that you guys speak, oh, it's so cavemanish. Yeah, and like I thought it was really cool, to bring in that God, I was like, I forgot what the hypothesis was called, but yeah, I thought that was really interesting in there because like if obviously if you learn different languages, a lot of people can do it way better. What are they called, like glots or something like that, epiglots or whatever? People that can learn languages really easily and they're able to break it down. Jeez, I was just like, that's such a awesome talent. Or not even a talent, but just an awesome way that like people can learn that idiots like me can't. Yeah. But yeah, no, God, and the soundtrack for this movie was super beautiful. But yeah, no, geez, I just can't imagine like being in that spaceship and seeing these beings.
Oh right, yeah, the first time you see them. And they didn't give him any warning. They were just like, you'll see.
Yeah.
I guess you can't really explain it, but.
Well, no, if it was me, I'd been like, yeah, they look like really big octopuses. So weird. Yeah. But no, yeah, and then just about how they approached the whole situation, and it's so hard to really kind of like talk about this movie because it's like it feels like it's more of like an experience when you watch it.
It is. It totally is. They did a really interesting. They talked to, or they were like, so much of everything is circular.
Yeah.
Like even like when you see her in the future, her earrings are circular. Uh, the language is circular. The like the daughter's name is a
The palindrome.
basically it's
Right.
circular, same backwards and forwards. Um, there was there, there was like somebody who was mentioning that like there was 12 spaceships that landed,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like 12 hours on a clock, which is circular. And so, and since the movie's kind of about time,
Yeah.
that's a like an appropriate.
I know, and like it's funny too because like the whole time I was like, it's not like a triangle. There's an end to a triangle. It's like a circle. There's no end. Where is that from? Like the Adam Sandler James Hart or not James? God, what's it that Kevin James movie, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
Bill and or was it Bill? I now pronounce you Bill and Chuck or whatever. But yeah, like God, this movie is such a head thinker too because it's like yeah, like I like how they depicted how the world would really act. It's like when they were showing all the riots, like save our species.
Yeah, and then there's also like, well, they had the when they looked at all the words that came out all at once. Jeremy Renner had scientifically pointed out how many times the word time,
Yeah,
their symbol for time, was written,
yeah.
but it didn't ever connect to anything.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but if he graphed the entire area of the words, it was what 8.33%, which is 1/12. So like if every spaceship gave them a pocket of words,
Yeah,
that would all that was like it would make 100%, so that every country actually had to work together to
yeah.
solve the mystery.
Because the
But
aliens knew.
right, but because we're idiot humans, even though we were sharing some information, every country was like, we're going to keep this little bit of stuff that we learned to ourselves because we want to be the first, we want to be the best.
Oh yeah, it's very reminiscent of like the Sputnik space race,
I
and the aliens are
Right.
like, nah, these guys are idiots. We have to give them a way to that they have to like work together and come together because at a certain point in 3,000 years in the future we need you guys to be one unified unit.
And somebody had like theorized, because the spaceships never land,
Yeah,
but they come to Earth and then they're like 50 feet off the ground or whatever.
yeah,
It was like the aliens are like, we have all the answers, but we can't just give it to you. We can go bring it this close, but that last little bit you have to figure out yourself. To like, you have to earn it. Like
yeah,
that's why we won't land. You have to figure out that last little bit you're on your own.
yeah. Because what is that bit about giving a dude a fish, teaching him how to fish?
I, right. And it was kind of like, yeah, the world has to learn how to work together, because if we just come down and give the language, then whoever gets the language first is going to be like, time travel, I win. Boop, 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 boop.
I will tell you right now. I wish I knew this language back, when Bitcoin was 50 cents.
Oh, right. Somebody else had also theorized that when the girl went into the mist
Yeah,
to meet the
heptapods.
yeah, um, that there was radiation in there, and
Mm.
that is the reason that her child got sick
Oh,
with the incurable
incurable disease.
disease. But she also had to know that looking into the the future and the past.
Yeah.
She made the calculated decision that I will kind of sacrifice my child to save the world.
I don't know. That's a bit of a stretch because
Eh,
Amy
Right.
Adams should have had the incurable disease as well, right?
Well, like if she had radiation, she had like some radiation poisoning, it could have just like damaged her eggs. I don't know.
Oh, maybe, but I don't think that's the case because it would be, because it's funny because like when they're talking about like the heptapods, they perceive time in that way where they can know everything, like not know everything, but know everything within their lifespan.
Right.
Like because Abbott knew he was gonna die,
Yeah.
and they didn't retaliate.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Yeah, he almost sacrificed himself.
Yeah, like
He was like, I have to. I know the bomb's going to go off, and I have to stand close enough to the glass to be able to push them out,
yeah.
knowing that bomb is going to kill me.
Yeah, so I don't think there's any sort of I don't think they would have put her in that space as like a form of retaliation, and I think that's
Well, no, not a retaliation, just because they're not looking at her life.
yeah,
They're just looking at you are the person that we have foreseen that's going to help us with the you're the chosen one, and
yeah,
then
but
she has to kind of make that choice on her own.
yeah, I still think that's a stretch because it's
And
just like,
yeah,
I think that's just a theory, a movie theory. No,
movie
we're
theory.
not trying to take that map pet. Yeah, because like I mean at that point, yeah, I just think because as like if like we went to like another place, right, and we knew that our atmosphere would mess them up, we would never, if we're trying to build relationships, we would never bring them there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's why, but that's like it feels like a very malicious way of thinking that's what happened. But that's just my take too.
Right. Another thing that the director had, or the writer had kind of insinuated was that time was written in stone.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why the ships
Mm-hmm.
look like they're made out of stone, because they were like unchangeable in history or in, within time, where if they were like metal and then they got like broken or something, they could be
Yeah.
fixed or they could be changed. But if they were stone, they were like that is their forever shape.
Alien stone. No, I thought what would happen is like after they disappeared from the Earth, they like recombined on space into like that ball, that toy
Right.
that you used to have as a kid, where like you would have to try to fit all the pieces to make a ball. Oh man, but no, we're coming into an hour. So first of all, I want to thank you guys for joining us. If this is the first time you guys are joining us, welcome. Be sure to check out all of our other months where we have holiday theme months, we have actor theme months, we have themes like this month where we have a specific like little quirky
Right.
ones.
Space debris,
Hmm.
about asteroids and stuff like that
In space,
in
just
space.
yeah. So, but we do our reviews in 4 different sections. We have stream it, DVD it, Blu-ray it, and Ultimate Box Collection. Kobe, where you at?
I absolutely love this movie. I like I said, I didn't remember a whole lot
Mm-hmm.
rewatching this, and I almost like want to watch it again immediately to see if I can
Soak it
like
all
the
in.
Easter eggs, like the little things,
Yeah.
put the pieces together. Yeah, this is definitely rewatch value. Like it's not. I mean, it's a very different rewatch value than like Independence Day. Like I said, that's like action, mindless, like just explosions,
Yeah.
fun. And this is much more a thinking one. But it's if there was something in a box set that
Yeah, it's shaped like a
the
potato chip.
right, I would get that. But yeah, no, I definitely Blu-ray this. I'd love to also see some commentary, some
Yeah, because this
interviews with the
movie is
directors
based on
and
a
stuff.
book too, so yeah, it would be
Right,
nice to
like a
get.
short story, I think it was.
Yeah,
So
or like it's like a book and the compilation, whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
I would definitely go for Blu-ray. I think this movie is beautifully shot. It's not egregious in the CGI. Like I don't know what that person was like. The 1-star rating was talking about how the CGI was bad. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but it's still like it gave you like the full grand scope of like these beings and all that stuff.
Right, and it was. I always love it when, like, you don't get the full story. So like
Yeah,
you know you when like a horror movie and you see more of you know shadows moving than you actually see the monster.
yeah.
It's
No, and then like the plot twist of the whole movie. I was like, oh, what? And like it
yeah,
really tied in the whole everything else. That's like it tied in what these aliens were trying to give us.
right, right.
Because yeah, I was like when I first saw it in the theater, I was like, oh my god, she's dreaming of the future. But no, yeah, this movie's great though. But yeah, no, thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to check our links down below where we have all our social medias.
Yeah, our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X,
Mm,
um, TikTok, YouTube. It's
it's all there.
all there.
Yeah,
Instagram, did I say that one? I
yeah.
don't know. All of them.
Oh man, but yeah, thank you guys for joining us. My name is Barry.
Well, this is Colby.
And this is Who Watches This. If you guys want to check out who does our theme music, it is Lee Rosevere. It's called Arcade Montage. It's on our album Music Podcast 3, and her Bandcamp is down below.
Thank you.